everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to new episode of audiobook name of Godfather. If you didn't watch my last episode, you should watch it because I I will start with new was useful with a new page, and you won't understand me what I will read about. Okay, let's get started. And I'll tell you why he ruined one of my most valuable portages for 5 years. I had this girl under training, singing, dancing, acting lessons. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was going to make her a star. Then Johnny comes along with that olive oil of voice and Joanna charm, and she runs off. A man in my position, Mr. Hagen, can afford to look ridiculous. I have to pay Johnny off. You are absolutely right, Mr. Walls, Hagen said, but I don't think you've understood how important this very small favor is to my client. Mr. Carleon never lets his friends down. Walt stood up abruptly. I've listened to about enough. Socks don't give me orders. I give them orders if I pick up the phone. This phone, you'll spend the night in jail, and your Mr. Connell never will never know what hit him. Even I. If I have to use my influence at the White House, the stupid son of a bitch. How the hell did he get to be a pezzavante? It's an Italian word that means like pezzavante. Um, I it's I don't remember. It's like word from Italian languages, pezzavante. Um, Something like that, but I don't remember. Okay, Hagen wandered advisor to the president, head of the biggest movie studio in the world. Thank you for the dinner. Pleasant evening, Hagen said. Could you give me transportation to the airport? I don't think I'll spend the night. He smiled coldly at Wolf. Mr. Corleone is a man who insists on hearing bad news at once. Polygato hated quick jobs. Quick jobs like Polyglot hated to work quickly, like work really fast. Okay, it's like quickie. No, it's like quickly, especially when they involve violence. He liked to plan things ahead. Now, sipping his beer, he glanced around, checking how the two young punks were making out with the two little tramps at the bar. Holy God, knew everything as there was to know about those two punks. Their names were Jerry Warner and Kevin Moonan. They were both about 20 years old, good looking, brown haired, tall, well built. Both were due to go back to back to college out of town in 2 weeks. Both had fathers with political influence, and this was their college students classification had so far kept them out of the draft. They were both also under suspended sentences for assaulting, assaulting, sorry, assaulting the daughter of American business Sarah. The lousy bastards. Polly got a thought. He could hear one of the girls laughing and saying, "Are you crazy, Jerry? I'm not going in any car with you." Gatto finished up his beer and walked out into the dark street. Perfect. It was after midnight. There was only one another bar that showed light. The rest of the stores were closed. The pre, Prekenst patrol car had been taken care of by Slemanza. They wouldn't be around that way until they got a rowdy call, and then they come slow. He leaned against the four-door Chevy sedan. In the back seat, two men were sitting almost invisible. Polly said, "Take them when they come out." Polly had recruited two of the strong arms and the family. He had also given them their instructions. No blows on the top or the back of the head. There was to be no accidental deaths. He had given them only one warning. If those punks get out of the hospital in less than a month, you guys go back to driving trucks. The two big men who were both ex-boxers were getting out of the car when Jerry Warner and Kevin Moonan came out of the bar. They were a perfect target. Polygato, leaning against the fender of his car, called out to them with a teasing laugh. "Hey, Casanova!" Those broads really Brushed you off. The two young men got angry. Polygato, short and slightly built, looked like an easy game. They pounced on him and immediately were grabbed from behind by the two men. At the same moment, Polygato smashed the pan named Warner right on the nose with his brass knuckles. The man holding Warner lifted him up off the ground and Polly uppercut him into the groin. Warner went limp, and the big man dropped him. The had taken no more than 6 seconds. Now both of them turned their attention to Kevin Moonan, who was trying to shout. The man holding him from behind put his other hand around Moonan's throat to cut off any sound. Oligado jumped into the car and started the motor. The two big men were beating Moonan to jelly. Then the two men left Moonan lying on the sidewalk and turned their attention to Wanner, who was trying to get to his feet, screaming for help. Someone came out of the bar, and the two men had to work faster now. One of the men took his arm and twisted it, then kicked him in the spine. There was a cracking sound and uh, Warner's scream of agony made windows open along the street. There were more people coming out of the bar, but none tried to interfere. Polygato yelled, "Come on, enough!" The two big men jumped in the car and pulled gone away. Somebody would describe the car and read the license plates, but it didn't matter. It was a stolen California plate, and there were 100,000 black Chevy sedans in New York City. Chapter 2. Tom Hagen went to his law office in the city on Thursday morning. He planned to catch up on his paperwork so as to have everything ready for the meeting with Virgil Salazar on Friday. The Don had not seemed surprised when Hagen told him the results of the negotiations with Wolf. He had made Hagen go over every detail and ask him on final question: "Does this man have real balls?" Hagen considered exactly what they Don meant by this question. Did Wolf have character? Did he have a strong will? Finally, Hagen translated the question properly in his mind. Did Jack Wolf have the balls to risk everything for revenge? Hagen smiled. "You were asking if he is Sicilian." Then nodded his head pleasantly. "Now," Hagen said. At the moment the phone rang, it was America Benassara. The Undertaker's voice was trembling with gratitude. He wanted Hagen to convey to the Don his undying friendship. The Daily News had carried a middle-page spread of Jerry Wanner and Kevin Moonan lying in the street. Um, Miraculously, said the news, they were both still alive, so they would both be in the hospital. for months and would require plastic surgery. Hagen made a note to tell sorry to tell Slamanza that something should be done for Polygato, so he seemed to know his job. Hagen worked over reports and had almost forgotten the Johnny Fontaine problem when his secretary told him California was calling. He felt a little thrill of anticipation as he picked up the phone and said, "Hagen here." As the voice that came over the phone was unrecognizable, with hate and passion. You're a fucking bastard!" Paul screamed. I'll have you all in a jail for 100 years. I'll spend every penny I have to get you. I'll get the Johnny Fontaine's balls cut off. Do you hear me, you genius fuck? Hagen said kindly, "I'm German Irish." There was a long pause and the click of the phone being hung up. Hagen smiled. Jack Wells always slept alone. He had a big enough for 10 people in a bedroom, large enough for a movie ballroom, thin. But he had slept alone since the death of his first wife 10 years before. This did not mean he no longer used women. On his Thursday morning, for some reason, he awoke early, as the foot of his bed was a familiar shape, and Wolf leaned on his elbow to get a clearer look at how I had the shape of a horse's head. Wolf reached and turned on the night table lamp. The shock of what he saw made him physically ill. It seemed as if a great sledgehammer had struck him on his chest, severed from its body. The black silky head of the great horse Khartoum was in a thick cake of blood. Walt screamed for his servants and sent Cold-Hagen to make his uncontrolled threats. He had been profoundly snugged. What kind of man could destroy an animal worth $600,000 without a word of warning? The man on night duty claimed that they had heard nothing. To Wolf this seemed impossible. They must have been bought up. Wolf was not a stupid man. He was merely an egotistical one. He had thought as the power he had in this world was stronger than the power of Don Corleone. He understood this message. That despite all his wealth, despite all his contacts with the President of the United States, and a porter of Italian olive oil would have him killed because he wouldn't give Johnny Fontaine a movie part he wanted. It was incredible. People didn't have any right to act that way. What really knocked him was the casualness with which this man Colin had ordered the destruction of a world famous horse for worth $600,000, and that was just for openers. He thought of his life had built up. He was rich. He could have the most beautiful woman in the world by crooking his finger and promising a contract. He was received by kings and queens. He lived a life as perfect as money and power could make it. It was crazy to risk his because of a whim. Maybe he could get it to Corleone. Walter gave the necessary orders. Word was given to the press that the racehorse Khartoum had died of an illness contracted during his shipment from England. Orders were given to bury the remains in a secret place on the estate. 6 hours later, Johnny Fontaine received a phone call from the executive producer of the film telling him to get to work the following Monday. That evening, Hagen went to the Dawn house to prepare him for the next day's meeting with Virgil Salazar. The Don had asked Sonny Corleone, his eldest son, to be present. To be present. Don Corleone settled in the armchair, puffing his cigar. Do we know everything necessary for us to know? The Don asked. Hanging over the folder as it held his nose, Salazar is coming to ask for help. Hagen said he will ask the family to uh, put up at least $1 million to promise some sort of immunity from the law. The business is narcotics. Salazar has the contacts in Turkey, whereas a girl, the poppy, from there he ships to Sicily. No trouble. In Sicily, he has the plan to process into heroin. He may bring it down to more fun and bring it up to heroin if necessary. The only problem is bringing it into this country and the distribution. Also, in Intel capital. $1 million cash doesn't grow on trees. They call Salazar the Turk. Has two reasons. He spent a lot of time in Turkey and is supposed to have a Turkish wife and kids. Second, he's supposed to very quick with the knife, a very competent a man and his own boss. He's done 2 terms in prison, one in Italy and one in the United States, and he's on to the authorities as a narcotics man. This could be a plus for us. The Don puffed his cigarette and said, "Santino, what do you think?" Hagen knew what Sonny would say. Sonny was annoyed at being under the Don's thumb. He wanted a big operation of his own. Sonny took his scotch. There is a lot of money in the white power, he said, but it could be dangerous. Some people could be in jail for 20 years, but I'd said if we kept out of the operations and just stuck to protect and finance, finance, it might be a good idea. Hagen looked at Sonny approvingly as Don puffed on his cigar. And you, Tom, what do you think? Hagen decided to be absolutely honest. Go ahead, Tom. The Don said encouragingly. Not even a Sicilian consigliere always agrees with the boss. They all laughed. I think you should say yes, Hagen said. There is more money potential in narcotics than in any other business. If we don't get it on it, get it into it, somebody else will. Maybe the Tajlia family. Their families will become stronger than ours. Eventually, they will come after us to take away what we have. Now we have the gambling, and it is the best thing to have. But I think narcotics is a common thing. I think we have to have a piece of the action, or we risk everything we have. Nah, not now, but maybe 10 years from now. The Don seemed enormously impressed. He puffed on his cigarette, his cigar, and murmured, "That's the most important thing, of course." He sighed, got to his feet. "What time do I have to meet Salazar tomorrow?" Hagen said he'll be here at 10 in the morning. "I want you both here with me. The Don said. He rose and took his son by the arm. "Santino, you look like the devil himself. Take care of yourself. You won't be young forever." Sonny, encouraged by this scene, with a sign of fatherly concern, asked the question Hagen did not dare to ask. "Pop, what's your answer going to be?" Don Corleone smiled. "How do I know until I hear the percentage and other details? Besides, I have to have time to think over the advice given here tonight. After all, I'm not a man who does things rashly. Virgil the Turk, Solozov was a powerful build, medium-sized man of dark skin who could be taken for a true Turk. Santa Carolina met him at the door and brought him on into the office where Hagen and the Don waited. Hagen thought he had never seen a more dangerous-looking man except for Luca Brasi. Solozza came to the point immediately. The business was narcotics, where everything was set up. Certain poppy fields in Turkey had promised him certain amounts of every year. He had a protected plan in France to convert into morphine. He had an absolutely secure plan in Sicily to process into heroin. Smuggling into both countries was absolutely safe. Entry into the United States would make about 5% losses since the FBI itself was incorruptible, as they both knew, but the profits would be enormous, the risk non-existent. Then why do you come to me? Don't ask politely. Slaughter's dark face remained impassive. I need $2 million cash, he said. Equally important, I need a man who has powerful friends in the important places. Some of my curious couriers will be caught over the years. That is inevitable. They will all have clean records that I promise. So the judge will give them life sentences. I need a friend who can guarantee that when my people get in trouble, they won't spend more than a year or two in jail. Then they won't talk. But if they get a 10 and 20 years, who knows? In this world, there are many weak individuals. They may talk. Legal protection is a must. I hear. Duncan learned that you have a lot of judges in your pocket. What percentage for my family? He asked. Solana's eyes gleamed. 50%. He paused and then said, "In the first year of your share would be $3 or $4 million. Then it would go up." Don Collins said, "And what is the percentage of the Tadajlia family?" For the first time, Salazar seemed to be nervous. "They will receive something from my share. I need some help in the operations." So Don Corleone said, "I receive 50% merely for finance and legal protection. I have no worries about operations. Is that what you tell me?" Sloza nodded. "If you think $2 million in cash is merely finance, I congratulate you, Don Corleone." The Don said quietly, I agreed to see out of my respect for the Tajil Julia, and because I've heard you are a serious man, I must say no to you, but I must give you my reasons. As the profits in your business are huge, but so are the risks. It's true, I have many friends in politics, but they would not be so friendly if my business were narcotics instead of gambling. They think gambling in something like liquor, harmless wise, and they think narcotics do the business. All the members of my family have lived well the last 10 years without danger, without harm. As you see, Senor Salazar, my no is final. Let me say that I myself wish you good fortune in your business. It has no conflict with my own. I'm sorry that I had to disappoint you." Salazar bowed, shook the Don's hand, and let Hagen take him to his car outside. There was no expression on his face when he said goodbye to Hagen. The Don sank back into the leather armchair and motioned for a drink. Ma- motioned for a drink. Hagen poured him a glass of anisette. As Don looked up at him, said, "Look up, brother, to see me." Sent Luca brother to see me, he said. 3 months later, 3 months later, Hagen hurried through the paperwork in his city office, hobby to leave early to do some Christmas shopping for his wife and children. He was interrupted by a phone call from Johnny Fontaine. He was sending the Dawn a Christmas present. 10 minutes later, his secretary told him that Connie Carleon wasn't the phone and wanted to speak to him. Hand sighed. As a young girl, Connie had become had been nice. As a married woman, she was a nuisance. She made complaints about her husband. He had a nice title business and was running it into the ground. He was also drinking, worrying around, whoring around, gambling and beating his wife up occasionally. But now she just wanted to ask Hagen what her father would like for Christmas. And Sonny and Fred and Mike had made some suggestions, all of which she rejected as silly. Finally, she let him go. Then the phone rang again. When his secretary told him it was Michael Carlin, he picked up the phone with pleasure. He had always liked Mike. "Tom," Michael Carlin said, "I'm driving down to the city with Kate tomorrow. There is something important I want to tell the old man before Christmas. Will he be home tomorrow? Right. Oh, sorry. Will he be home tomorrow night?" "Sure," Hagen said. "He's not going out of town until after Christmas. Anything I can do for you?" Michael was close-mouthed as his father. "No," he said. He told his secretary to call his wife and tell her he would be home a little late. Outside his building, he walked fast downtown towards Macy's. Someone stepped in his way. To his surprise, he saw it was Salazar. Salazar took him by the arm and said quietly, "Don't be frightened. I just want to talk to you." A car parked as a car. The car suddenly had its door open. Salazar said urgently, "Get in. I want to talk to you." Hagen pulled his arm loose. He was still not alarmed, just irritated. "I haven't got time," he said. At the moment, two men came up behind him. Hagen felt a sudden weakness in his legs. Solana said softly, "Get in the car. If I wanted to kill you, you'd be dead now. Trust me." Michael Corleone had lied to Hagen. He was already in New York, and he had called from a room in the hotel Pennsylvania. When he hung up the phone, Adams put out the cigarette and said, "Mike, what a good fever you are." Michael sat down beside her on the bed. All for you goes there right away. Then we couldn't go out to dinner. We couldn't go to the theater, and we couldn't sleep together tonight. Not in my father's house. Not when we're not married. He put his arms around her and kissed her gently on the lips. Her mom was sweet, and he gently pulled her down on the bed. She closed her eyes, waiting for him to make love to her, and Michael felt an enormous happiness. They made love until it was time for dinner, and the teacher and dinner in the theater. After dinner, they walked past the brightly lit department stores full of holiday shoppers, and Michael said to her, "What shall I get you for Christmas?" She pressed against him. Just you, she said. Do you think your father will approve of me? Michael said gently. That's not real as a question. Will your parents approve of me? Kay shrugged. I don't care, she said. They had decided to get married during Christmas week, a quiet civil ceremony at City Hall with just two friends as witnesses. But Michael had insisted he must tell his father. His father would not object if it was not done in secrecy. Once he came out of the theater, it had a turn call. Do you want something to eat before we go to the hotel? In the hotel lobby, Michael pushed Kate towards the newsstand and said, "Get the papers while I get the key." Had to had to wait in a small line. Michael got his room a key and looked around impatiently for Kate. She was standing by this newsstand, staring down at the newspaper she held in her hand. He walked toward her. She looked up at him. Her eyes were filled with tears. "Oh, Mike," she said. "Oh, Mike." He took the paper from her hands, and the first thing he saw was a photo of his father lying in the street, his head in a pool of blood. A man was sitting on the curb, weeping like a child. It was his brother Freddie. Freddie. In their room, Michael sat down on the bed and opened the paper. The headline said, "Winter Carlyon shot. Al Racket chief critically wounded. Operated on under heavy police guard. Bloody mob were feared." Uh, Michael felt the weakness in his legs, and he said to Kay, he's not dead. The bastards didn't kill him." He read the story again. His father had been shot at 5 in the afternoon. The, that meant while he had meant sorry, that while he had been making love to Kay, having dinner, enjoying the theater, his father was near death. Michael felt sick with guilt. Kay said, "Shall we go down to the hospital now?" Michael shook his head. "Let me call the house first. The people who did this are crazy, and now that the old man's still alive, they'll be desperate. Who the hell knows what they do next?" Both phones in the Long Beach house were busy, and it was almost 20 minutes before Michael could get it through. He heard Sonny's voice saying, "Yeah, Sonny, it's time." Michael said. He could hear the relief in Sonny's voice. "Jesus, kid, you had us worried. Where the hell are you? I've sent people to the hick town of yours to see what happened. How's the old man?" Michael said. How bad is he? How bad is he hurt?" "Pretty bad," Sonny said. "They shot him 5 times, but he's tough." Sonny's voice was proud. The doctors said he'll pull through. "Listen, kid, I'm busy. I can't talk. Where are you?" "I'm New York," Michael said. Didn't Tom tell you I was coming down?" "Coming down?" Sonny's voice dropped a little. They've snatched Tom. That's why I was worried about you. His wife is here. She doesn't know, and neither do the cops. And I don't want them to know." "Okay," Mike said. "Do you know who did it?" "Sure," Sonny said. "And as soon as Luca brother checks in, they're gonna be dead mid. I'll be out in an hour," Mike said. Head up. The papers had been on the streets for over 3 hours. Sorry, I have to take a break for 1 minute. Okay, guys, I'm back. I just made some tea for me because I'm thirsty. Okay, keep scapegoat. There must have been writing news reports. It was almost impossible to look at the hadn't heard the news. Thoughtfully, Michael pondered the question: where was Luca Brasi? It was the same questions that Hagen was asking himself at the moment. It was the same questions that was worrying Sonny Carlin out in Long Beach. At, at a quarter to 5 the afternoon, Don Carleon had finished checking the papers. He put on his jacket and went out in the street. It was already getting dark. Freddie leaned casually against the fender of the heavy buick. When he saw his father came out of the building, Freddie went to the driver's side of the car and got in. Don Carlin was about to get in the car when he turned back to the line, opened through it, and stand near the corner. This had been his habit lately. He loved the big out-of-season fruits, yellow peaches and oranges. The pro- proprietor sprang to serve him. Don Carlin took the paper bag in his left hand and paid the man with a $5 bill. He took his change and as he turned to go back to the waiting car, two men stepped from around the corner. Don Carlin knew immediately what was to happen. The two men wore black overcoats and black hats, but pulled low to prevent identification by witnesses. Uh, they had not expected Uncle Leon's reaction. He dropped his bag of fruit and ran toward the barked car. At the same time, he shouted, "Fredo! Fredo!" It was almost then that the two men drew their guns and fired. The first bullet caught Don Corleone in the back. The next two bullets sent him sprawling in the middle of the street. The two gone men started to follow in order to finish him off. At that moment, Federico Corleone appeared out of his car. The gunman fired two men hasty hasty shots on at the down line to the gutter in the line to the line in the gutter. Uh, these wounds were the least seriously formed small pools of blood beside his body. By this time, Don Corleone had lost con, consci, con, quins, continuances, had lost continuances. So Freddie had heard his father's shot, calling him by his childhood name, and then he had heard the first two loud reports. By the time he got out of the car, he was in shock. He had not even drawn his gun. The two assassins. Good. Sorry, guys. My mom called me to help her. I I I, I can I couldn't reject her. Okay. Pretty shout and the two assassins could easily have shot him down, but they too panicked. They must have known the son was armed. They disappeared around the corner, leaving Freddy alone in the street with his father's bleeding body. He went into physical shock. A crowd gathered around Don Carleon's body. When the first police car appeared, a few moments later, and an ambulance arrived, a photographer was snapping pictures of everybody and everything. In the half hour after the shooting of his father, Sonny Carleon received the several phone calls. The first was from Detective John Phillips, who was on the family payroll. Phillips had said quickly, "Somebody shot your father outside his place 15 minutes ago. He's alive but hurt bad. They've taken him to French hospital. They got your brother Freddie down at the Chelsea precinct, precinct, and precinct, precinct. Okay. I'm going down to the hospital now to help question your old man if he can talk. I'll keep you posted. You sure he's alive? Yeah, I'm sure The detective said a lot of blood, but I think maybe he's not as bad as he looks. Thanks, Sonny said. Sonny called the phone. He forced himself to sit still. He knew that his greatest weakness was his anger. His first thing to do was to get as Tom Hagen. He delayed Hagen's house and asked Hagen's wife, "Did Tom come home yet?" She said no, but she expected him home for supper. Let him call him. Sonny said. He tried to think things. Sorry, he tried to think things out. He tried to imagine how his father would react in a like situation. He knew immediately this was an attack by Salazar, but Salazar would never had dared to eliminate the Don unless he was backed by other powerful people. The phone rang for the fourth time interrupted his thoughts. The voice on the other end was very soft, very gentle. Santino Corleone? It asked. Yeah, Sonny said. We have Tom Hagen, the voice said. In about 3 hours he'll be released with our proposition. Don't do anything rash. You can only cause a lot of trouble. What's done is done. Everybody has to be sensible. Now, don't lose that famous temper of yours. The voice was slightly mocking. Sonny couldn't be sure, but it sounded like Slaza. And then the phone rang again. It was Lamanza. You hear about your father? He asked. Yeah, Sonny said, but he's not dead. There was a long pause over the phone, and then Clemenza's voice. Thank God, thank God, said anxiously. You sure? I got word he was dead in the street. He's alive, Sonny said. He was listening intently to every intonation in Clemenza's voice. Get over to my father's house, Sonny said. Bring a polygato. That's all? Clemenza asked. Don't you want me to send some people to the hospital in your place? No, I just want you and polygato. Sonny said. There was a long pause. Samantha was getting the message. To make it a little more natural, Sonny asked, what the hell was Polly in the way? What the hell was he doing?" Samantha's voice was careful. Polly was sick. He had a cold, so he stayed home. He's been a little sick all winter. Sonny was instantly alert. How many times did he stay home the last couple of months? Maybe 3 or 4 times. Samantha said, I always asked Freddie if he wanted another guy, but he said no. Yes, yeah, Sonny said. I'll see you at my father's house. But bring Polly. Pick him up on your way over. I don't care how sick he is. You got that? He slammed down the phone without waiting for an answer. His wife was weeping silently. He stared at her for a moment. He said in a harsh voice, if Tom's wife calls, tell her that Tom won't be home for a while. He's on a business. Darkness had fallen, and the December wind blew through the mall. Sonny had no fear about stepping out into the night. All 8 houses were owned by Don Corleone. The mall was a fortress. Sonny went across the street to his father's house and got inside with his own key. He yelled out, "Ma, where are you?" And his mother came out of the kitchen before she could say anything. Sonny took her by the arm and made her sit down and just got it calm. He said, "I know, don't get worried. Pop's in the hospital. He's hurt. Get dressed and get ready to get down there. I'll have a car and driver for you in a little while, okay?" His mother looked at him for a moment and then asked in Italian, "Have they shot him?" Sonny nodded. His mother bowed her head, her head for a moment. Then she went back into the kitchen. He went into the huge corner room that was his father's office and took the special phone from a locked cabinet box. The first person he called was Luca Brasi. There was no answer. Then he called the Cabo regime. Uh, in Brooklyn. This man's name was Tesio. Sonny told him what had happened and what he wanted. Tesio was to recruit a 50 absolutely reliable man. He was to send guards to the hospital. He was to send men out to Long Beach to work here. He had up. He went over to a small wall safe and unlocked it. From it, he took in an indexed book. Sonny dialed his number and said, "Viral." The man on the other and answered, "Yes." Sonny said, "That is Santino Corleone. I want you to do me a favor, and I want you to do it right away. I want you to check two phone numbers and give me all the calls they got and all the calls they made for the last 3 months." He gave Farrell the number of Polly Goddess, home and Samantha home. Then he said, "This is important. Get it to me before midnight, and you'll have an extra very Merry Christmas." He gave Luca Brothers number one more call. Again, there was no answer. This worried him, but he put it out of his mind. Luca would come to the house as soon as he heard the news. Sonny leaned back in the chair in an hour, as the house would be filled with family people, and he would have to tell them all what to do. And now that he finally had time to think, he realized now how serious the situation was. It was the first challenge to the Corleone family and their power in 10 years. There was no doubt that Salazar was behind it, and he had support from at least one of the five great New York families, and that support must have come from the Tataglias, which meant full-scale war on immediate settlement on Salazar's terms. Sonny smiled grimly. The Turk had planned well, but he had been unlucky. The old man was alive, and so it was war. But again, the nagging worry. Where was Luca Brasi? Okay, it's finished. We finished chapter 2, and with new episode we're gonna start chapter 3 pretty soon. Okay, thanks for watching me, and join my channel, and see you later, guys. Have a good one.